information I can get. The Martyr Logarius boss is a controversial one because he employs so many of the tricks which players are sick of. I noted some earlier when we discussed unfairness versus the feeling of unfairness, but the whole breakdown of Logarius goes, he's able to break your lock-on, he can get to elevations to do plunge attacks at you faster than you can track him in the air manually. His attacks try to trigger the player's reaction too fast by lying with their anticipation frames here and there. He has ways of reaching the player at every distance, so there's never any downtime. And finally, he's so aggressive that the player kinda needs to swap over to their faster weapon variant. All of this cumulative tack he employs makes him come across as immensely unfair, but individually, I don't think any of this is too much for a boss to have. If I have an issue with the way Logarius is designed, it's that the cumulative effects of all of his moves makes him break the player's expectations of the core combat. That is to say, Bloodborne is a game where you position yourself and the enemies, and Logarius is the only encounter where that is not the case. He, seemingly, alone has more mobility than you do, and so the framework you should bring into this fight, that is to be responsive, is not the same as you have going in any other part of the game. So, while Logarius is actually not that difficult, I do consider the game not prepping the player to have to change up their approach to movement to be poor game design. It's one thing for a boss to be executionally difficult, it's another thing entirely for a boss to be conceptually difficult. All throughout, you've been playing one sort of game, and just like my example of people asking a tool to do something it's not designed to, players get mad when the game is changed and they aren't told. They might be fighting well under the mental framework employed in the rest of the game, but since it's not applicable here and since players aren't told as much, they get upset pretty quickly. You can argue whether or not that's just how FromSoft makes Logarius a more satisfying boss to defeat, but you cannot pretend as if people's animus to this boss does not reflect poorly on the way it is set up.